welcome back to the Learn FCL series where you can learn FCL tips and tricks in under a few minutes. My name is Kim and today we'll be learning how to resolve .find domains to their respective flow addresses and vice versa. So it's just searching up which .find domains are under which addresses. Of course, you can follow along with the code sandbox, but if you prefer a written series, Flow's very own Max Starga has done an amazing job writing out all this content on his Dev.Doc 2 series, which I've linked down below. So for starters, if you don't know what .find is, you can definitely check out more on their website, which is find.xyz, built by the amazing community member Biarte. If you see him around, say hi, he's awesome. Basically, what .find does in a nutshell is assign a human readable identity to your flow address. Very similar to how DNSs provide a naming service for your IP address, .find gives you a naming service for your flow addresses. So for example, mine would be Kimberly. This is how you claim your identity. You just search it in here. Kimberly is available for 5 FUSD, which is a great deal for a naming service. And now I don't need to send my friends my 18-digit hex string, but instead be like, hey, send it to kimberly.find, and they'll be able to send their flow and NFTs my way. Cool, so that's fine, and let's just jump into the code. Alrighty, so since we will be interacting with the .find contract, whether on mainnet or testnet, there are a few things we need to look up and find before we could jump into the code. Namely, the first one is where's that contract located, where's the address on mainnet and testnet, and the second one is what are the methods that we could use on that contract so we'll be able to achieve what we're looking for. For example, how to find a .find address and resolve it to an actual flow address. So if we navigate over to the GitHub, our good friend Biarte has great documentation for find. It is at github.com/findonflow/find. And in here, there are a bunch of files, but namely, I'm going to point us to the integrating markdown file, which is a document that outlines all the different ways on how we could integrate with .find. So scrolling down a bit, under the using cadence directly, you can find where the contract addresses are. We have our mainnet located over here at this address and our testnet located here. But for our example in our guide today, we'll be using mainnet. So mainly we'll be using this address to interact with the contract. Oh, and luckily he's also included the methods that we could use. So as you can see, they've tried to make it easy by using one-liners. Super easy. You have .find, which is imported from the mainnet address, and the lookup address, which takes in a name, which is a string. Cool. So that's one way to find out how to look up an address from a name, but we'll need the other way, which is resolving address to a name. So over here we have find with a reverse lookup method, which takes in an address. The address is type address, obviously, and it will return a string, which would be the .find name if there is one. Perfect. So I think those are the pieces that we need, and now we could go ahead and dive in. Yay! So onto the fun part, which is actually coding everything out. Obviously, we're going to be sending things off to the chain, and we're going to log things to make sure that everything we're doing is working as intended. So let's go ahead and dive in with our first function. Our first order of business is to resolve name. So we are going to take a .find name, and we will be returning the address that it belongs to. So first order of business is the cadence script that we need to send off to Flow blockchain. Luckily enough, Biarte was super nice and actually included the script that we'll need in his documentation. Let's verify things very quickly. We're importing the find contract. We are importing it from the mainnet address, which is where our FCL is pointed to currently. And we are going to use the lookup address method from the find contract, give it a name, and hopefully we get an address if there's an address associated with it. So let's go ahead, copy that, give that a paste, and there we have it. This is the script that we're sending off. Now we need to define the arguments that we need to send to the script. So let's go ahead and define that. We have our arg for our builder, t for type, and an array for our arguments to live in, but we only have one. We're going to send in the .find name, and the type for .find is string. There you go. Nice. And our next step is to log our response, which is gonna be an address. And the address will be the response from our query that we send off. And we're sending off firstly our cadence script, and second the corresponding arguments that will go and be fed into the script itself. And lastly, let's go ahead and log things out. So for our console log, the two things that we'll need to check is the name that we send off and the address. So let me make this a little bit more neater. This dot find name belongs to this flow address. Go ahead, we'll make that template literal. And looks good to me. Last but not least, let's ship it. Ship it off. So await, let's call resolve name. And it takes in a name. What name shall we use? Let's use Bjartek, because I've been saying his name so much. Bjartek, let's go ahead and find his flow address. Everything looks good to me. Give that a save. Open this up and let's check our console. For the time being, I've turned the DOM builder, but if we check our console, this dot find name, oh, I should have said name. This find Bjarte belongs to this flow address 088, and the last few numbers are 535. So I just want to verify if that's actually true. So let's go ahead and check it over here, Bjartek, and that looks like the exact same address that we have in our code. 0886, 886 with the 535 at the end, and voila, easy as that. Let's go ahead to our second function. All right, so we already did the first half, which is resolving the name, and now the second one is to resolve the address. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna resolve address instead, async, because we are returning a promise. This time we're taking our flow address, that's why our argument is address. And let's go ahead and get our firsts, our cadence script. Navigating back over to our GitHub, we're gonna scroll down under resolving name, resolving address to name. This is what we're looking for. Let's quickly double check. We're importing find and profile from the address. Actually, we don't really need profile for this example, but if you wanted to use profile, there's a lot of information here to figure out how to do so. So I'm gonna go ahead and give that a copy. Import that, make it look all pretty. We're importing find and profile. Not necessarily, we don't necessarily need profile. Perfect. Cool. Now we do the fun stuff. Const args equals our builder, our argument builder, our type. And let's do our address, correct? And the type is address. Easy as that. Now let's go ahead and send it off. Let's go ahead and call it name this time. I'm gonna query the chain with our cadence and our arguments. And lastly, let's console log it. So this time we are going to need address and name in that order. So does this address, and we will enter in address here, have a dot find name, question mark, and then we'll have our name like so. Awesome. Now let's ship it to the chain, resolve address, and actually, do you want to see if it works in reverse? So let's go ahead and try that out. Let's take Bjarte's previous, oh no, okay, that's okay. We're gonna take this previous address here, go ahead and copy that, resolve address, let's put his address in here. Expected address for type address, that is right, so that is looking for, sorry, a string representation is what you're looking for. Right, so does this address have a dot find name? And yes, it does, and it returns us Bjarte. So simple as that. Now we can search up anybody's .find name and resolve it and do a reverse lookup. Cool! So a super easy way to improve user experience for your applications is by displaying your users' .find names instead of their addresses. Thanks for watching, keep building awesome stuff, and we will see you in our next video. See ya!